Hello everyone and welcome back to the Artificial DM. So this is going to be a little bit of a touchy subject. The player's campaign world is set in 9/11. That is something that I figured I should put up front and let you all know, because that tends to be a hot button issue with some people. Anyway, today we are going to be looking at RPG horror stories. This post is from the user Watsil. How too much D&D can warp your perception of reality. Let me start by making a very bold statement. You're about to read something about 9/11 that I guarantee no mind in the entire world has conceived before or after I witnessed one doing it live. There are two reasons I guarantee that. First, I think there's a pretty good chance it's true. Second, I hope it's true. There can't be more of them in this world. So, guy we'll be calling HD introduces me to RPGs back at 2010. I still can't believe 2010 was 10 years ago. Oh gosh. For both of us, it was our first campaign. Sadly, my first of two. HD was invited by a guy we'll call Perry, because he looks like a parody of Prince Harry, and he took me along. HD and I got really into it, so we started seeing more of Perry. One day, I invited them both to my house to hang out. Perry is the kind of person who tends to think he's very smart. Always one step ahead of all the sheep who don't dare click on "one weird trick" ads. The fact I and HD were both younger and less experienced in RPGs than him only made it worse. We ended up talking about RPGs. Perry started telling us glorious old D&D war stories, and how, if you're smart, you always have a way to get a roll to save yourself. Why, he had been part of a super realistic campaign, and he and his other group did crazy stuff and usually managed to live another day. Realistic in D&D means a different thing to everyone. To the DM, it probably meant more lethal. To Perry, it meant the campaign was a reality simulator, and he was just that awesome. But the DM also has to make sure not to throw you into an unwinnable situation, no matter how realistic it is, said I like a stupid idiot.
Nope. There's always something you can do,
said he with a knowing smirk. I mean, some people find themselves in situations that are almost impossible to escape for anyone, was the gist of what I replied to that. I was thinking and implying pretty pedestrian stuff. Situations caused by being poor, belonging to a minority, or a disenfranchised group of people. Essentially, situations that need the DM to set up a series of events to get you out of.
There's nothing impossible to escape. You just have to think,
he reaffirmed, the look on his face that of the wisest monkey you have ever beheld. Looks can deceive.
Try me. Describe something bad, but realistic, and I'll show you,
he said, his expression reflecting the visceral thrill of a ruthless king about to put his doubting inferiors in their place. But also a gentler thing, a deeper thing. The wholesome fatherly satisfaction of a compassionate sage about to teach his children. I even detected in his gaze the bittersweet realization that we would one day surpass him, but remember his teachings. In short, I watched him mentally masturbate and ejaculate within the 3 seconds it took him to finish his sentence. HD and I described a few increasingly bad situations, and he bullcrapped his way out of them, so I decided to be heavy-handed. The thing that sprang to my mind immediately was 9/11, being inside one of the towers that day. My thought process was the following. You can pretend your pluckiness can elevate you out of whatever horrible social situation, or that you'll outmaneuver a gunman out to kill you all you want. But surely, even he could see that if your amazing powers of perception detect the plane before the inevitable happens, then congratulations! You now have a few moments to make peace with your god, or get bummed out that he, she, it doesn't exist for one last time. What if you were in one of the Twin Towers during the attack? Was what my weak brain believed would stump him. I know there were survivors, but didn't think of it at the time. He knew too. Didn't matter.
Easy,
he replied immediately without changing his expression, giving no indication that what I see as certain death gives him any trouble, completely blindsiding me. I was expecting him to accuse me of being unfair, or try to stall or something. For a few fractions of a second, I believed he was a genius all along, and he was about to teach me his mystical art. I was not used to the unflinching confidence of someone too stupid to realize he's not a genius. I sat there blinking at him, and it took me a few moments before I could say anything. What?
It's easy.
How? One last thing before you two learn his secret knowledge. I've never seen a skyscraper up close. I think neither has he. To this day, I may be missing a few ways about what he said was outrageous.
Alright, first, I remove the closest window.
You break it?
No, I remove it whole.
You sit down right before the impact, and you carefully remove the window?
Yes,
he said nonchalantly. The time he estimated he would need to do that, while unimportant in comparison to everything else, sounded like what a D&D game designer who had never heard of windows or time would think the amount of time a well-rested 20-level window remover with a +5 window removing toolbox at hand would need to remove a window of a building that was not currently in the middle of collapsing. So many objections flooded my brain that I remained silent. HD wanted to learn more.
Then what? I remove the glass from the frame.
But how do you?
I always have my tools ready.
My eyes were wide open. I wasn't blinking anymore. I couldn't look away, even though I had already started feeling secondhand embarrassment. My eyes got so glassy that I started fearing he might consider removing them. I had heard of people who tried to go up to the top of the tower after the attack. I had heard of people who tried to go down. I had never heard of anyone whose first instinct would be to carefully remove the closest window. Then, I foolishly prompted him to continue.
Well, you know, skyscrapers have pretty big and wide windows, right? I hold it over my head so that its surface is parallel to the ground.
I knew exactly what he would say next, and so do you by now, but it's too late.
I leap out of the hole I opened, he said triumphantly, and I use the glass to glide to safety.
Now, I don't know about you, but if I were the laws of physics and Perry tried to pull that crap on my watch, I'd make him fall twice as fast for daring to insult me like that and make everyone else float just to spite him before he hit the ground. I'd flooping make him glide uncontrollably all the way to Al-Qaeda's headquarters, and the moment he's directly over them, forget momentum, acceleration, and all that crap, and make him immediately drop at terminal velocity directly on it and explode on impact, just to punish them for setting in motion the events that caused him to disrespect me like that. Even MacGyver is more realistic. He at least would have had the decency to duct tape himself to a hot air balloon or blow the glass into a plane before taking a leap of faith. But Mother Flooping Perry just picks up a flat piece of glass and flies? Like, wench, why do we even have planes if all you need to fly is a somewhat wide piece of glass? I now believe in reincarnation because I met the reincarnation of the Flying Tailor's lesser-known idiot rival. I say all of that now, but at the time I said nothing. I couldn't even laugh at him. I stared at him in disbelief, waiting for him to say he was flooping with us. He never did. I was so disoriented by what I'd heard that I still don't remember how exactly we handled it, but I'll give you an idea in the form of a question. Have you ever failed to convince someone they can't fly using a window? Thought so. I think we might have convinced him he wouldn't glide, but then again he likely only conceded that point so he could make clear that it would definitely slow his fall down enough for him to survive. I bet you all know some total badass who if only could have been in one of those planes, it's always a he would have kicked everyone's asses and saved the day, but I bet you didn't know anyone who would fly off the site by using a window. I can just imagine him having his own one weird trick ad. A picture of him with his arms crossed, and a reassuring confident smile caption, "He survived 9/11 using one weird trick plane makers don't want you to know." P.S. I kind of wanted to call him Glider, or Glass Glider, before realizing it would give away everything too soon. But doesn't the Glass Glider sound like a crappy superhero who didn't catch on? That's how I wanted you to think of him. That and Discount Prince Harry. LDR?
very smart man who thinks his realistic D&D campaign is accurate depiction of reality thinks he could survive 9/11 by gliding out of a collapsing skyscraper using a window as a glider. Oh boy. Honestly, Perry's delusions are just very, very out there. Those windows are huge! He's obviously never seen one of those windows. They're massive. Perry by himself wouldn't be able to pick one up. But that's besides the point. As a DM, if I was presented with this scenario, if I was running this D&D setting, I'd be like, okay, cool, and yeah, you're gonna fall. Oops. Have you ever been in an argument and the other person is so deluded with what they're thinking has to be right? Go ahead and let me know your stories down in the comments below. If you want to hear more D&D stories just like this, hit the subscribe button. Until next time, hope you feel inspired.